My name is Rob Mitchell, and I'm a trader. I'm a mentor, I'm a teacher, and I teach people to trade. I'm also a neurolinguistic programmer, board-certified hypnotherapist and timeline therapist, and I help people to develop into more complete human beings. I often do that in the form of trading. Trading is a wonderful medium for advancing yourself, your personal development. It's an accelerated environment where you can really develop quite quickly, because it forces you to reflect back onto yourself and just has a feedback mechanism for personal development. And so I teach it in that way, but I also teach it in one-on-one sessions. I live in Carlsbad, California. I have 4 kids. I have Alexander right here. Al, you want to come over and say hi to everybody? No, he's too nervous. And my wonderful wife, Michelle's here with me. Thanks for asking that, Vadim. Number one thing for success, to me, being in the moment. If you can bring yourself to have reverence for this moment and every moment as you go through the day, makes your day very complete. And it also makes you connect with everything that you're doing in a very powerful way. Now, that kind of might go against the grain of what's intuitive, because we're taught from a very young age that you force your way through your day and you do it with force, right? But I've found that it's really something that I would call reverence. I've had people tell me that I am mindful, but I honestly couldn't be entirely sure what people mean by the term mindful. But for me, it's reverence for the moment. And so things like multitasking, you let that go. Things like anything that draws you to, in some way, not be connected with this moment. Texting, you're out with a bunch of people and there's 6 people sitting at a table in a restaurant and everybody's doing this, right? Well, that's not being in the moment when you're there connecting with individuals that you're there with. And so I strive very much to be entirely present. So this was a shift in my in the way that I treated things starting about a year ago. I came to the realization that I was multitasking all the time and I was never in the moment. In fact, I was spending my day just knocking out tasks, knockout, 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 knockout. And ultimately I found that to be, I realized I was dissatisfied with what I was doing and my life and the way it was manifesting throughout the day. And so I made the decision one day to simply, if somebody comes to me and they ask me a question or something like that, if I'm busy and I'm in the moment with something else already, I had to install a little program in my head, right? I learned to tell them I want to be rather than multitasking. See, what I would have done in the past is I would have multitasked and I would have managed them while I continued doing what I was doing. But then what I did was I made the decision that I only am present with them in the moment. So what I might tell them if I'm already doing something is I'll simply say, look, I am doing something right now and I'm 100% engaged, but it's very important to me when I'm with you, that I have a 100% connection with you. And people always understand that when you explain it to them. And so if you can wait a little bit, I will give you 100% of me and we'll have a connection. Now, And then when you're with that person, you're just completely engaged in them. Now what happens is when you do that with people, that's so rare these days, because everybody's doing this, right? You know, it's so rare that people have a really profound experience with you when you do that with them. And so, and that feels amazing. And so I recommend giving it a shot, giving it a try. When you're with somebody, just be 100% with them. It's be 50. It's like a meditation, right? 50 things going through your head and everything, and you're like, nope, I'm here with this person right now, 100%, and I have reverence for this moment, meaning simply respect, right? I have respect for this moment and my connection with this other human being. And so that has been just very revelatory for me to do that. Yeah, so thanks for asking. Yeah. Well, it really isn't possible to multitask. See, you've only really got this moment, and each moment is precious. And so when you are doing multiple things, what you're really doing is kind of a half-baked job, right? You're not really giving 100% of yourself to what you're doing. And it may seem like you're knocking out a bunch of stuff, but I owned and ran a restaurant for many years, and what I found is that particularly as a chef, you are, particularly at the dinner hour, you're usually managing 5, 6, 7 things at a time, and that's the nature of that. And I think that's probably why I really enjoy being a trader. I love the engagement of it. I love the intensity and the focus of it. This is another area, like from a trading perspective, where I find traders get into trouble. They're actually kind of multitasking while they're trading rather than being 100% in the moment. And so, as I was saying earlier, that is a practice that you can engage in while you're trading, being in the moment, being fully present. And that is a wonderful experience, because that's the way, everybody knows what it means to be in the zone. You know what's happening, you know what, when you're experiencing that. And so if you are fully engaged and in the zone, you're not multitasking, you're just right there in that moment. And so, yeah. I suppose there are traders who can actually find relaxation through it. I was certainly experiencing that today while I was trading. Things were working quite well today, and sometimes you get pulled out of the moment. And so, it's always a work in progress. You don't just get to this kind of place that we're talking about. You kind of weave in and out of it, right? And so that's the experience. Just like you weave in and out of higher moments and moments where you're doing something great, or you know that you're just procrastinating and not really doing what's in your heart to do, and so, yeah, so, but this idea that I call reverence applies to everything that you do throughout the day. If you're connecting with another person, or if you're trading, or if you're driving the car, or whatever you're doing, just enjoy that. And it's really a wonderful, wonderful experience. So, yeah, thanks for asking that. Thanks for asking that. Well, hypnosis is kind of let me just talk about what hypnosis is and what it means to people. This is Vadim asked, do you use hypnosis to help people with success? Or something pretty close to that. So the idea is, first of all, hypnosis is just associated with a trance state. Now, anything that you do, you're already in a trance. This is something that people misunderstand. So when you're listening to me and we're talking with one another, if you're engaged in what I'm saying, then I'm actually changing your consciousness. I'm changing your state. And then you're reflecting back to me and you're changing my state. And so in any technical understanding of the term, that's hypnosis. You're changing somebody else's mental state. Now, many of us have the experience, you drive halfway across town and you have no recollection whatsoever. That's because when you drive the car, you go into a trance. You're good enough at it that you can turn that into an automatic behavior. A minute ago I was talking about being a chef. Saturday night you're multitasking 40 different things, but that's a normal act, and so what happens is you actually get into a groove with the whole thing, and you can actually have reverence in that moment of carrying all those things together, but they won't be that anymore. It's like a basketball player going for the layup shot. There's 400 things that he has to keep track of in his musculature and everything else in order to successfully make a layup shot with a bunch of 7-foot guys in his way, right? And so that's a trance, everything's a trance. So hypnosis itself is simply a intentional inducement of a state. Now you can change your state anytime you want. In fact, this is something that I work with people a lot on. You're really personally responsible for your state in every second. So if you don't feel good right now, all you have to do is I want you to go to a time right now, and I want you to remember a time that you were just falling on the floor laughing. I mean, you were just laughing so hard, your belly was just aching, and I mean to the point it was hurting like crazy, right? And I'd like to see you just change your state. You just change your state. You can be happy anytime you want. All you got to do is start laughing, right? Yeah. The goat video, is that the one where the goat walks right through the frame and nobody sees it because you're too busy watching the game or whatever it is? Is that the one you're referring to? Yeah, you get in a trance. In fact, this has amazing implications for. Oh, it talks with the tongue. This has amazing implications for what reality really is, because you're going through life seeing things through your trance state, and you don't even know what's going on around you. In fact, you weave your whole own reality. You see what you want to see. In NLP, we say what is out there is what the inside of your head looks like. And it's really true. Perception is projection is another way of saying that. You see, it's almost like this isn't you think this is an input device, but it really isn't. It's like a projector. We all know this. You can have your keys sitting on the table in front of you, and you're like, well, where are my keys? I can't find my keys. You're walking around the house looking for the keys, or, and you come back, 30 minutes later after you went upstairs, downstairs, back and forth, all around the house and everything else, 3 times, 4 times past the desk, and then, boy, there they are right on the desk, right in front of you, and you're like, how'd they get there? I've been past here 4 times, right? It's a negative hallucination. It's a failure to project what you're seeing. Yeah, what your brain, exactly, how much of reality your brain really filters out. That comes into powerful play in situations like, say, as a chef or as a basketball player or as a trader, because if what you do is not in alignment with reality, the result you're going to get is going to be a problem. Now, with trading, of course, there's this immediate, it's like trading is awesome because it's instantaneous capitalism, right? It's not like capitalism, I invest in this and something happens later. No, it's like right now, right? You click that button, boom, game is on, right? And it's immediately feeding back to you. So, for a lot of traders, okay, you click the button and you say you bought, right? And the market starts going up. Oh, I feel good. Oh, yeah, man, it's going my way. Everything else sort of turns right back around, starts coming back down. Oh, no, oh, man, I feel horrible, Now it starts going back up again. Oh, man, I feel great again, right? It's just like, you're modulating your whole experience based on some data that's being represented on a screen, right? I mean, it's crazy. So you have to take control of your state. Well, taking control of your state is self-hypnosis, right? It's self-hypnosis. Now, there's fundamentally no difference between learning to meditate and doing self-hypnosis. But we hypnotize ourselves all the time with these kinds of decisions to be in states, or we fall into the patterns of being in states. You know, I was just using the example. Oh, the market starts going up, you're long, oh, you feel good. It starts going down, oh, you feel bad. Up, down, all the place. Your state's just changing all the time. It's like you're some kind of like multiple personality disorder or something. No, you got to take control of your state, get a hold of it, get a handle on it, and empower yourself to be in control of your state, right? And when you're in control of your state, you can be in deep relaxation. And when you're in deep relaxation, you can be in the moment. Now, I first learned to hypnotize myself, and it's funny because I'd been meditating for years, and I'd done all kinds of work with meditation and just thousands of hours, and it always felt to me like when I'm trying to meditate, like it's a struggle. It's like, okay, and you're like sitting there meditating, and you go, oh man, I got to go through I got to go through 5 more minutes of this or whatever, and you're just like, oh man, it's horrible. No, with the hypnosis, you just put yourself into the trance and you just go deeper, deeper. Oh yeah, let that relaxation go from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. Oh yeah, you weren't aware of that sensation in your right toe. And suddenly this feeling of relaxation going through the body, and I realized in the process of learning this that meditation was self-hypnosis. But in the difference was meditation, I'm always like fight, to get into this state of being in the moment. In self-hypnosis, boom, I can be there in like less than a minute. I can be in a deep state. I've even gotten myself into a hypnotic coma before and just sit there for 3 hours. In the deepest, you want to have an experience that's just beyond anything imaginable. Get into a hypnotic coma. It's the deepest state of relaxation that you can possibly imagine. Now, here's an interesting thing about this kind of a state. And it's not dissimilar from the basketball player or the trader or the chef or whoever. Hey, Silent Warrior, thanks for coming in. When you're making that layup shot and you really know you're doing it right, if you're playing basketball or whatever, and it's just really gelling for you, and everything about it's just like right in the zone, you are in a state of hyper-awareness. You're in a state of hyper-awareness. And so, but you're not concerned at all with your body or anything else. It's the same thing when you do self-hypnosis, or you're in a state of hypnosis, a state of trance, which is a normal state, as I've said, for those who are just joining us here. But basically, you're in this state of extreme awareness. So even like I just told you I'd gotten myself into a hypnotic coma before. The mental acuity while you're in this state is just absolutely sharp, precision sharp. But your body is just completely relaxed. It's the most wonderful state that you can possibly be in. And you can learn to induce that. I've had classes and taught that. Maybe we'll do a Periscope session for that. One day we'll do one for learning self-hypnosis. I'll teach you some techniques that can, if you practice it a bit, you have to learn to memorize it. But basically you're just going over a procedure with yourself. There are certain steps that you take yourself through, and in that process you learn to get yourself into that state in just a couple of minutes. Now here's the really cool thing about it. You get yourself into that state. It only takes a couple minutes to do it, and stay there for about 5 minutes and pull yourself out. I mean, you basically feel like you just woke up from a full night's sleep. And so you can basically get a power nap in 5 minutes, if you're feeling a little groggy or whatever. Now, we were just talking a few minutes ago about taking control of your own state. Well, this is a way of taking control of your own state, because when you go into this zone of self-hypnosis, and your mental acuity goes really sharp, but there's nothing there but what it's on, absolute, focus, then when you pull yourself back out of it, you stay in that state. Now, I also teach, this is just a simple kind of induction that you can do for yourself. This is called a learning state. Okay, if you teach this to a kid, their grade point average will go up 1 to 1.5 points. Simplest thing in the world. Just look up. You just get your eyes going up above your gaze. Don't do it so much that you strain your eyes. Just, pick a spot up on the wall or whatever is up there for you. Just kind of up above the center line of your gaze. Just take your eyes up there and just put them on a spot there and just hold them there for a minute. Now you'll notice as you do that, if you hold your hands up on the sides of your head, that you can see a full 180 degrees while you're doing that. Well, while you're in there texting on your phone, what happens is your vision becomes really myopic and narrow. Well, with narrow focus, while you're doing this, with narrow focus comes narrow-mindedness, see? Then you get in a learning state, you put your eyes up there and you gaze for a minute, and then you bring your eyes back down to the person that you're dealing with. Try not to stare too much. They might think you're a little goofy, but ha ha ha. But you bring yourself into that state, and what happens is your vision goes out in the periphery, and so you're now thinking big. And when you're thinking big, it's like, if you live in a house on the ocean and you look out 180 degree of the ocean every day, right? What's that feel like compared to living in a little apartment with no windows in it, right? Can you imagine people that live in that environment and their vision's always just wide? No wonder they live in a $5 million home, because their vision is like, the universe, right? As opposed to somebody that's like down in this place all the time. So the more time that you spend in this foveal state, the more time that you spend in that, the bigger kinds of thinking you'll have, the more open-minded you are. It's virtually impossible to be in the learning state and be judgmental. It's, simplest thing in the world to do, right? All you got to do is bring your gaze up. Now, I'll tell you, this is interesting, because like little kids, right? Like a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, right in there. A kid that age is learning upwards of 50 to 100 new words every day. Okay, 50 to 100 new words. This is astounding. How on earth could you learn that? It's like you could make little flashcards. But I can tell you right now, you're not going to learn 100 new words today, or even 50 for that matter. If you're trying to learn a new language or something, we all know this, right? You're not going to learn it with the flashcards and stuff. You might get 10 of them, You might get 10 of them to stick if you keep repeating them every day. This kind of thing, right? So how is a little kid learning 50 to 100 new words a day? Because the kid's always looking up, see? He's always looking up. His vision's open, see? And the kids are brilliant, adults just like they think, oh yeah, that kid doesn't know anything, right? Well, guess what? You're crazy. The kid's brilliant, man. His vision is like the whole world, see? He's taking it in. He's learning at this incredible rate. And kids have wonderful insights and stuff because they spend their day looking up at the adults. And the adults are just like in this little world, And so, what is trading to me? Trading, trading's an interesting thing for me. Just the way that I came to it, and I don't know that I have time to tell the whole story. Trading for me is a lot of things. Number one, as I mentioned earlier, it is a means through which, or a feedback mechanism through which I develop personally. Because as I said, it's immediately giving you feedback about how in control of your state you are, And so, can you go through battle? Because it is similar to battle in many ways. I'm not telling you to hold it out that way symbolically in your mind. That wouldn't be a good thing. But if we were to use it as a metaphor for battle, then you have the opportunity to be under stress and be able to manage your state, and be in the moment. And so number one, trading to me is a means through which I have personal development. Now, I've had the wonderful opportunity to be a trader for over 20 years. I've been a trader I developed my first computerized trading models in 1991. So, we're talking 25 years here. I've been doing this, right? Now, this is interesting because trading is a industry where the average guy only lasts about 3 years at best. And so I've managed to work in this for 25 years. Now, interestingly, I've done this for 25 years, but how did I do it? Well, I'm very focused on constantly developing myself. In fact, the psychologist, I'm trying to remember his name. It's a psychologist. So he works with a lot of traders, and he's got some books out there. And Vadim, I know you've got some books from this fella, a psychologist. But he came out, he put out a little thing on Twitter a while back, and he said the trait that he had seen over the years that led to a person being successful as a trader was their constant and unceasing desire to continue researching new ideas for their trading. And so, Steenberger, yeah, Brett Steenberger, yeah. The single biggest trait that he believes leads to the success of a trader is their unceasingly and unquenchable thirst for improving themselves and developing their skills as a trader. Yeah, and so that also goes hand in hand with that development thing. So, secondly, trading for me, although this is very interesting because I've been extremely successful as a trader. I've made my living as a trader. However, my main interest in trading is not in making money. And so this is another thing that I've lectured on a fair amount, is that if you are trading, if you're doing any endeavor and you're doing it just for the money, yeah, it's love, baby. There you go. Yeah, I have a passion for it, right? And so I just love, I love the research, I love the challenge of it. Now it's kind of funny because you think about it, oh, well, the market either goes up or down, right? Or waffles back and forth sideways. But it's designed, well, it's not designed, but what markets do is they trap people and they get them into trouble. And so I find that aspect from a psychological standpoint to be absolutely fascinating. And so I'm absolutely fascinated with how markets trap people up, cause them to lose money, and lead them into a path of anti-development when exactly the opposite thing could be occurring. So, interestingly, I've made a phenomenal living in my lifetime. I'm just so blessed. I live every day in absolute gratitude. But I've never traded for money. I've never traded for money, and so, in fact, I'm almost more. It's something I have to work on because I'm more interested in developing my skill set than I am in trading itself. And so, trading is like a secondary activity that I do that I still enjoy, but it's not 100% of what I'm doing. It's just a part of the overall picture. Yeah. So, cool question. Do I have a morning routine? It's pretty simple, actually. When I wake up, and I usually wake up well before an alarm clock goes off or anything like that, as a matter of fact, I'll share this with you guys. It's just a simple meditation. I do this meditation. They teach this to military people for dealing with stressful situations in a short time span. I already showed you one meditation. I showed you the learning state, right? Don't forget the learning state. Do the learning state, baby. Get that peripheral vision going instead of that narrow vision, right? Open it up, right? Now you're thinking big, baby. The world is mine, right? Tony Montana, right? Anyways, So I forgot the question. I got too excited. But ask me the question again. I got lost in that. Oh, the morning routine. Right. Okay, so, yeah, meditation. Thank you. Okay, so I'm in bed, and I call it squaring the breath. So you breathe in for however many counts. Probably do like a 7 count. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I mean I'm full, right? Full. Hold for 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just laying in bed, focusing, bringing my eyes up a little bit for that learning state. If you can, and you can bring your attention back up above and behind your head, you're laying in bed, your eyes are going up just a little bit. Don't strain your eyes. Eyes are still closed, but the eyes are going up a little bit. Get that focus up above your head and back behind a little bit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out. And I mean out, okay? I mean out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Repeat that 7 times. It takes about 5 minutes. It's about a second a breath, right? You're doing 49 breaths, something like that. Or I mean, it's longer than that. It's 7 times 7. So. Anyways, it ends up being about 5 minutes, and that's how I start my day. That's before my feet even hit the floor. And so I may also roll over and put my feet down to the floor and bring my body erect and take a nice deep breath before I start my day. But I won't just come charging out of bed. We were talking earlier about reverence, and it's the same thing. That meditation in that moment of reverence, and I like it if I can get a little goosebumps going. Lets me know that I'm in alignment. Yeah. Now that's very personal, but that 7 breath meditation, you can do it 4. If you get really good, there was an old book written in 1904. I actually have an original copy of it. It was quite valuable, actually. The Science of Breath has some wonderful breathing techniques in it. Now think about breath for a moment and what it means. Breath is when it's coming in, it's called inspiration. Think about that. Breath is. It's inspiration. Goosebumps. I can feel it right now, right? Goosebumps, right? Inspiration. Well, what is inspiration? It's like having a muse, right? It's like you're in alignment, right? Beautiful thing, right? It took me I'd wondered for a long time, what does that word inspire mean? It's like you're asking me about hypnosis earlier, and I still haven't finished that question. I'm going to finish it. It's like you're walking in the store and it says entrance above the door. Think about that. It's a very cool word. It says entrance above the door. You asked me about hypnosis. Well, this is an ancient word, right? So what does this mean? Oh, when you go through the portal, the door, or the opening, your state changes. So it's called an entrance. To entrance, right? That's pretty cool. So you asked me, do I use hypnosis? So, yeah, I'll talk about gratitude in just a minute. Thank you for asking. So, hypnosis with others? Absolutely. Do I call it hypnosis? No. Don't call it that. Why? Because all communication is hypnosis. Sometimes they'll do something that's formally hypnosis, in which case I might call it hypnosis or a trance or whatever. But anyways, so that's the answer to that question. What's the one you just asked? Ask me that one again. Gratitude. Oh my goodness. Gratitude is the single most important emotion to me. it's absolutely, every day I just feel an incredible sense of gratitude for everything in my life. Everything in my life, whether things are good or bad, whatever that may mean, but I'm just absolutely in a state of gratitude, and gratitude comes, at least for me, it comes from practicing non-condemnation. But when I say non-condemnation, this idea is kind of like, layers of an onion peeling off, and so it's kind of can get a little complicated, but over time. But when you practice non-condemnation, it's that you don't condemn yourself or others for any misgivings. So I always operate on the assumption that others are doing the very best with what they've got to work with. Okay, so like if somebody's having a bad day and they're kind of bringing it into your world, I don't tell them to shut up or I might have to take a deep breath and get some inspiration naturally, but I don't push it back on them because they're already struggling, So I operate on the assumption that they're doing the best with what they've got to work with. And so what do? I ask myself, if they're presenting something to me that may be problematic, I ask myself, what is it within me that has made this present itself to me as a problem? Because I could only be understanding that as a problem if there was something within me that allowed it to happen. In that process, I take 100% responsibility for whatever's happening, whether it be what seems to be out there in the world or within me. So practicing non-condemnation is actually something that is an act of loving yourself, okay? And when you love yourself, suddenly you become filled. And when you become filled with light and joy, you just feel a phenomenal sense of gratitude and peace. And it comes from taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life and what's happening to you and around you, and not condemning other people. And it's not a daily practice; it's a moment-to-moment practice, all day long. And it goes hand in hand with what we started this conversation with today, about reverence and respect for the moment. The respect for the moment. The only way that I can truly be in this moment, is if I'm not upholding a substitute reality or world. And the only way I can do that is to abide in the truth. Okay, so if something's appearing to me as a problem, and I am fighting it, then by nature of the fact that I'm fighting it, I'm operating in a substitute reality. Now, if you do that as a trader, I guarantee you're losing money. Okay, I guarantee you're losing money. If you're doing that as a basketball player and you're going for the layup shot, I guarantee you're not making the shot. If you're doing it as a chef on a Saturday night when there's 150 people that just came in the dining room and you're getting their food out to the table, I guarantee you there's going to be problems in the kitchen. Why? Because you're holding a substitute reality. You're not operating on truth anymore. See? And so you ask yourself the question, if the reality that I'm upholding in my mind is not in alignment with truth, what kind of an outcome am I going to get? Right? The answer is, it's not going to work every single time. Okay? But life is designed to work. And so you can make it work in any moment if you simply abide in the moment and have reverence for the moment, and take responsibility for what's being presented to you, and in that way you're practicing non-condemnation, which means you're not condemning yourself, you're not condemning others, which opens the way to gratitude. Yeah. It took me 50 years to understand this. And so it's a work in progress. You're always working towards that. No, focus is not a skill, absolutely. Thanks for asking. Question is focus a skill? Focus itself, as I was describing earlier with the state of self-hypnosis, the natural state of the human mind is absolute laser focus. But we don't allow ourselves to have that experience, and we prevent ourselves from experiencing that acuity by multitasking and upholding substitute realities that aren't in alignment with truth. As soon as you're upholding truth and you're in alignment with reality, with what's true and what's real, and you're in the moment, you will automatically have laser focus. There is no skill or practice about it. Just like the pro basketball player, he's practiced being able to make that shot, and when he does it, it's the most natural thing in the world. It's the absolute most natural thing in the world. So, right? You're making a shot, making a trade, preparing a meal or whatever it is that you're doing in your life. You're operating on reality, you're taking 100% responsibility, you're in a state of non-condemnation, which means you're in present moment experience with reverence for the moment, and then comes the gratitude, the love, the peace, the joy, and the enlightenment. Okay, guys, yes, thank you. And thank you, Russian Ambition, for coming in. Thanks for asking some great questions. This has been a really good session. Guys, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Rob Mitchell Success. Same as on here. The only one that's different, the only one that's not Rob Mitchell Success is the YouTube channel. And Snapchat. Snapchat is Rob Mitchell Snap. Follow me on there. It's a lot of fun. I've got world famous artist Hu Jundi visiting here today, and he's been here the last 3 days. They've been cooking up a storm of traditional Szechuan style cuisine. Oh my God, guys! I got goosebumps just thinking about the incredible stuff. Follow me on Snapchat. It's fun. Yesterday we went to La Jolla Cove. You get to experience the world famous La Jolla Cove. It's cool. So, follow me there, Snapchat, and then what's the YouTube channel? Hold on just a minute. YouTube channel, I think, is... hold on a minute, guys. YouTube /channel/Indicator Smart. Oh, yeah, thanks, Russian Ambition, for putting that up. So, guys, thanks for coming in. This is my very first Periscope TV session. Thanks, Silent Warrior. Thank you. It's my very first one, and so thank you very much for being a part of it, and I'm looking forward to doing many more and just sharing things, life, trading, and just anything that I can put out there for everybody. And thanks for sharing the love, guys. All right, we'll see you on the next one.